Hey, I'm Stormtracker 16 meteorologist Jeremy and welcome back to this week's episode of Cloud to Ground. Now, coming up in August, there is going to be a very special celestial event. Doesn't always happen. It's a total solar eclipse happening August 12th. I got more details coming up here on Skywatch 16. On August 12th, skywatchers around the world will get a chance to see the first total solar eclipse in more than 2 years. But unlike the spectacular eclipse that crossed the United States in 2024, this one won't bring totality to America. The path of totality, where the moon completely blocks the sun, will stretch across northern Siberia, eastern Greenland, western Iceland, northern Spain, and a tiny corner of Portugal. It's the first total solar eclipse visible from mainland Europe since 1999. That's when I was born. Along that narrow path of totality, viewers will experience daytime darkness for about 2 minutes, revealing the sun's outer atmosphere, or corona, something only visible during a total solar eclipse. Here in the United States, we'll only see a partial eclipse. Much of the northern half of the country, from Alaska across to the northeast, will see the moon take a small bite out of the top of the sun. The farther north you are, the better the view. Alaska could see more than 1/3 of the sun covered, while parts of New England will see around 15 to 25% coverage. Here in Scranton, about 9% of the sun will be eclipsed at maximum. The eclipse begins here just after 1 p.m. on August 12th. Max coverage will be just before 2 p.m., and the whole thing ends just after 2:30. Even without totality in America, the eclipse kicks off 3 straight summers featuring total solar eclipses around the world, giving travelers and eclipse chasers several opportunities to stand in the moon's shadow in locales that are relatively easy to travel to. A consecutive trio like this hasn't happened in more than 15 years. And remember, because the eclipse is only partial here, you'll need certified eclipse glasses the entire time if you plan to look at the sun. Jeremy Lewan, Newswatch 16. Now that you have something to look forward to, let's take a look back at the month of July with our very own Ali Gallo.
We started the month of July in the middle of a heat wave. Back then, it looked like that was going to be the big weather story of the month. But by the middle of the month, smoke from the Canadian wildfires became the hotter topic. This week, I'm taking a look back at July's weather. The hottest days of the month were at the beginning of the month. On Thursday, July 2nd and Friday, July 3rd, it hit 98 degrees in the Scranton area and 100 degrees in central Pennsylvania in Williamsport. It was a 5-day heat wave in Williamsport, hitting 90 5 days in a row from June 30th to July 4th. In Scranton, it was a 4-day heat wave from the 1st through the 4th. On the morning of Monday, July 20th, it dropped below 50 degrees in many places in northeastern and central PA. The official low in Scranton was 49 degrees that morning, the chilliest temperature recorded this month, and very close to the record of 46 set back in 1965. The dangerous heat and humidity was a hot topic as we headed into 4th of July weekend, and that combination on top of severe storms created an entirely new problem for many across northeastern and central PA. A storm on the evening of Friday, July 3rd, knocked out power for days in one neighborhood in the Scranton's west side. Thousands of homes and businesses were impacted. One Scranton woman we met was concerned for herself and for her neighbors who weren't able to leave their homes to find a place to cool down.
My next door neighbor needs oxygen. The second door up is a 98-year-old shut-in, hasn't been out of the house in almost 3 years. 2 doors up is a woman that's completely shut in. She uses a cane and a walker. Across the street, we've got senior citizens. So within 8 houses, 6 of us are handicapped.
It was a similar story here at Hilltop Manor in Scranton. More than 100 residents had to throw away refrigerated food and brave the heat.
It's hell on earth. I'm suffering. I can't breathe. Sweating, full up, I lost all my food. Everything. It's unbearable to live like this.
More severe thunderstorms hit the area the next day on Saturday, July 4th, and many fireworks displays were canceled or postponed, including the big one at Kirby Park in Wilkes-Barre. That night, Newswatch 16 found one family making the best of the situation. Deborah McNeil's family was going to see the show at Kirby Park, but decided to put on their own show instead.
Our celebration, yes. Happy 250th anniversary, America!
The holiday weekend ended with a third night in a row of severe storms, and flash flooding across a large part of Luzerne County was the main concern that night. Here at Shields Family Market on Hanover Street, employees told us nearly a foot of water went through much of the building, and shoppers were in shock.
It's a shame all that food going to waste too. They have great food in here. I've been coming here for years. They're great for the community here, and they have really fresh produce, great groceries. It's a shame.
The grocery store in Wilkes-Barre was closed for about a week, reopening on Saturday the 11th.
We're a big part of this community. This community is a big part of us. So we were outpoured with love from Facebook posts, calls. The phones have not stopped ringing. People also have supported us. They've gone to our other location on George Ave.
A few days after the severe storms came the smoke.
Look at these images. This is from all over the area. That eerie sun that we started to see blotted out by the smoke. Canadian wildfires hundreds of miles away, creating images like this near Montrose. We got dozens and dozens of photos from viewers.
As always, all of you helped us tell the story. Smoke from Canadian wildfires impacted the air quality all across Pennsylvania. The Air Quality Index, the number that tells us how polluted the air is, got into the 200s for a time on Thursday. Air quality that bad is considered very unhealthy for everyone. We even stayed inside for our forecast that evening. Here in West Scranton, the morning mass on the first day of the 102nd St. Anne's Solemn Novena was held inside because of the smoke, but afternoon mass was moved back outside. The air quality improved significantly a few days later. By Gojo Week, day 2 of the 29th annual bike ride was an active one. Ironically, Joe was in a rain delay in quite possibly one of his favorite places in the world, in Shenandoah at Mrs. T's Pierogies.
So if you look up and down the streets here in Shenandoah, we have a wet road. So we're waiting out a good half hour or more of showers, and then I'm going to hit the road and be back, hopefully in Mount Carmel by this evening for the news. I mean, it's already getting late, 4:03. Right.
A tornado warning was issued in part of Wayne County on the afternoon of the 21st, and meteorologists with the National Weather Service later determined it was an EF0 tornado that touched ground here in South Canaan Township.
July 2020 still remains the hottest since record-keeping began more than 100 years ago, and 2019 is also in the top 5. Thanks for joining me this week. I'm Allie Gallo.
Thanks, Allie. When we come back, Anthony Bordenero is going to be taking a look at some severe weather. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Hey, welcome back to Cloud to Ground. I'm Jeremy Lewan. Anthony, with his markers in hand, will be showing us about the formation of hail and lightning. Take it away, Anthony.
As you know, our streaming show is called Cloud to Ground, and we're speaking about Cloud to Ground on our edition of Whiteboard Weather. So let's talk about how lightning forms, and it has to do a little bit with hail. So in the atmosphere, it cools with height, and there's a certain level, let's just say it's right here, for instance, where this air is below 32 degrees Fahrenheit, right? So up here, there are suspended what we call supercooled water droplets. Now when you get a thunderstorm to form, it has an updraft. And with the supercooled water droplets, they collide, and they eventually build what is hail. So what happens is they collide, they move up, and eventually the updraft can't sustain anymore, so it falls back down. But then it gets caught in the updraft once again, and it goes back up. So you get a cycle of this supercooled water droplet falling down, coming up, they collide against each other, and eventually forms hail that the updraft itself can't sustain, and you get hail that falls all the way to the ground. Now, how does lightning form from this? That's a good question. Well, when this happens, you get hailstones that collide against each other. So you have a hailstone here and a hailstone here. They bump into each other. There's only so much space in the cloud, and you get negative charges that form, and you also get positive charges that form from this process, because you get the things that break down to their bare bones, right? The negative charges are heavier, and they settle in to the bottom of the cloud. And the positive charges, because they're lighter, move on to the top of the cloud. Well, now you get a little bit of unevenness in this cloud. And like we know, most lightning strikes are cloud to cloud. So there are little lightning strikes that happen within the cloud due to the negative charges. 75% of all lightning strikes are cloud to cloud. But we want to talk about how they reach the ground. Well, towards the ground, you have positive charges that collect towards the top of different things, trees, maybe even humans, even the ground, all these positive charges that get attracted to the negative charges that are part of the cloud. And then you start getting a little bit of a connection that tries to form. These are called step leaders. You have little bolts that form from the cloud like this. Some go this way, some go this way, and they're trying to find the path of least resistance to whatever is closest to it. So if you have something that's tall, it tries to find that, and if it's short, it's less likely to find it because it finds the taller stuff quicker. So this is exactly how lightning is formed. Once it makes this connection, it connects the cloud to the ground, and it creates a big expanse of energy, which we call thunder. So this is what the lightning process basically is. The thunder is a rapid heating of the air, and that's the visual part comes first, which is the lightning, and then the sound, especially since it travels slower, you hear that second. Now, if you, let's say, were under a tree, this bolt goes to the ground, and being under a tree is not the safest place to be. And you may be like, Anthony, okay, so I thought that goes to the tree. That's not that should avoid me, right? Well, if you're under a tree, you're part of the ground, unless you're floating. And that bolt can travel anywhere between 10, 20, 25 feet on the ground. And if you're connected to the ground, you'll feel as well. It's less potent than if you get directly struck by lightning, but definitely being underneath the tree is not safe to be in a lightning storm. And before we go, I thought I'd share some fun numbers with you. Let's flip the whiteboard, and we have some big numbers, and we have some small numbers. Well, this 4.5 is in inches, and this 8 is in inches as well. 4.5 is the largest hail ever recorded in the state of Pennsylvania. The 8 inches is the largest hail ever recorded on Earth, and that was in South Dakota back in 2010. 15 billion is the amount of damage estimated by hail in a year, whether that's crop damage, whether that's property damage. $15 billion in damages. Isn't that hard to believe? A normal hurricane season is about $15 billion. So that's around the range we were talking about. And 100, this number is in miles per hour. This is how fast the hailstone falls when it's about 3 to 4 inches big. Now let's move over to the lightning. 10,000 is in degrees Fahrenheit. That's how hot the surface of the sun is. 54,000 degrees, that's how hot lightning is. Can you believe it? 40,000 degrees hotter than the surface of the sun. 8 million is the amount of lightning strikes that occur on the planet per day. Per day. And it's tough to believe, but when you have a lightning storm, it's like you get 10 to 15, it's like, oh, that's a lot of lightning. 8 million across the globe per day, and then 200,000, that is miles per hour. That's how fast the step leaders form in the cloud for lightning. So yeah, hopefully you learned a little bit, and thank you so much for tuning in to this edition of Whiteboard Weather.
Thanks, Anthony. With weather changing so quickly this time of year, it's really important to know what to look for. Now stay with us. Kurt Aaron is up next on Cloud Ground. Welcome back to Cloud to Ground. I'm Jeremy Lewan. Kids are very inquisitive. They notice brilliant colors in the sky and they ask questions. You might have the same questions, so Kurt is calling science class to order right here on Cloud to Ground.
You know, I'm in the backyard today and it's just rainy. Look at this. Cloudy sky, raining. That stinks in the summertime when you're trying to do stuff outside and you can't, which leads me to this next question.
Hi, I'm Vanna, and my question is, how do rainbows form and why?
Rainbows! Guess what? You need this kind of weather if you want to see one of those special rainbows. I kid you not. So there is a bright side to a stormy day like today. Let's go in the severe weather set and check it out. And look at that. We're back inside the severe weather set and I'm showing you a double rainbow. You know who got this? Michael from Carbondale. He sent us in. Notice the stormy weather, just like what we have going on now out there right now. This is a double rainbow. How do they form? Before I answer that, let's go ahead and show you a couple more photos from our photo link library from viewers like you. Wow, those are some great pictures of photos, just like Michael sent us from Carbondale. Thank you to everybody who sends in those photos. All right, now let's go to Vanna's question. She said, how do these rainbows form? Well, remember, you need a storm. The viewer must be between sun and rain. So when you get the rain showers that we have out there, you also need to see some breaks of sunshine. That's key. Ingredient number one. It must be within a few hours of sunrise or sunset. Why? Because you want the sun low on the horizon. So it's got to be sunrise or sunset within a few hours, especially in the summertime. And then here you go. The rainbow will appear at the point opposite of the sun. So if you're wondering, what are we talking about? If the sun's off here, setting in the west, okay, the rainbow is going to appear with the shower that's moving away. So we're going to watch this. That's where the rainbow appears. Larger rainbows often create brighter bands for the rainbow. And you can also get, just like Michael sent us, double rainbow. Do you see the second one? Right up here. So that's how rainbows form. Thank you for your question. Here's the question we have for next week, but it's not science class, it's podcast. Take it away.
Hi, I'm Mia. My question is, why is it bad to leave your pet in the car during the summer months?
That's a great question, Mia, and that's important because we are right now in the dog days of summer, and there's some important issues, but there you go. And Vanna, that's how rainbows form. Thanks for watching us in science class. We'll see you next week for podcast. Have a great night.
Thanks, kids, and thanks, Kurt. Now, if you had a legal question, who would you go to? Certainly not Joe Snedeker, right? Well, one viewer did. And we're going to tell you what happened when we come back on Cloud to Ground. Finally this week on Cloud to Ground, Joe gets called to court. We'll find out what he did or didn't do right here on Lightning Round on Cloud to Ground.
Hi, folks, and welcome to Cloud to Ground and the Lightning Round. What are you giving me? A little
massage.
Loosen me up for the
lightning round.
Well, this one is legal, so I do need a loosening up. I have Jack Culkin again here helping me out. So again, keep your questions coming. weather@WNEP.com. You can even email them. Even if you work here, it's something you're curious. What would you want to ask if you did? Like something you've always wondered about weather.
Wondered about weather.
Anything?
How do cumulus clouds form?
This is off the cuff. Well, that is actually a good question. They're in the category of what we call vertical development. So simply whenever air near the surface is heated, it lifts up like boiling water. So that rising air cools at about 5.5 degrees for every 1,000 feet, and then eventually it'll cool and condense, and that makes the bubbly texture of a cumulus cloud. Flat on the bottom, bubbly up top. That's rising air. Not all clouds form like that. Some form from stratiform movements of air. It's a long story. Anyway.
Learned something new today.
There you go, buddy. Vertical development. All right. So let's get legal. Is it possible to get a screenshot of the weather system that came through Carbondale overnight in April? I'm having a dispute with my greenhouse company. The storm destroyed my greenhouse and they want proof of severe thunderstorms. Thank you. I'll leave the name out of this one since it's getting kind of legal, but you wouldn't believe how many emails we get about that. Could you give me the high temperature on this date? Could you tell me how much rain we had on this date? Because I have to send it to my insurance company. What do you think the answer to this is?
I didn't know attorney Joe Snedeker was working at Newswatch 16. Guy's got a new title now.
No, so the answer is we can't give any of our personal records here to people because then it's used as a legal case and we have to stay neutral.
Right.
So no, we could never get involved. We can't give you our data, we can't give you our opinion, we can't give you anything because it is a legal court matter when people are disputing these things. But guess what we can give you? And who can get involved?
Who?
The government! So the government keeps official data. High temperature, low temperature, wind gusts, humidity changes, precipitation, snowfall, everything. They've got it all. Where are you going to find that information?
Where do you find that information?
Oh, he's good. All you have to do is go to weather.gov. And once you get on that website, you can search through it and you can find past historical data for places like Carbondale, although there's no official recording place in Carbondale, but the Avoca Airport, Binghamton, and then you scrutinize the data and get what you want.
So if a tornado came through my community 5 years ago, I can go on there and find that information and track that
No,
down?
you really couldn't. No, the weather data, the Avoca Airport data goes all the way back to the late 1950s.
Wow.
And you can even take it back to the early 1900s. Scranton was recording data. So it's a great site, weather.gov, and then just search past weather. You'll see all weather events, and then you can call your lawyer. Let's play lawyer here. Hey, I have some weather information for you. Yeah, we're gonna sue this greenhouse company because they don't think it rained and my whole greenhouse was ripped down.
Well, you better not have called WNEP because they'll give you nothing.
Oh no, I got my government information on the Gov site. Thank you. See, it's all good. We'd love to help out, but seriously, we have to stay neutral, and that's what the government is there for. Thanks, Jack Culkin, for helping us out again.
Thanks, Joe, for letting me be a part of Cloud to Ground.
Let's see if you paid attention. If people want to ask a question, what do?
They just email Joe Snedeker.
No, weather@WNEP.com. Weather@WNEP.com.
I just want to talk to you, Joe.
Well, you could do joe.snedeker@WNEP.com too. I'm here for you.
That works.
All right, now I'm going to lift you up like you did to me last week, and we're going to end this segment.
Yes, sir. You.
We'll just end it.
Thanks, Joe, and thanks again for giving us those official resources needed to answer official questions. Joe, congratulations to you on a successful GoJo 29. You are amazing. You pedaled across the entire viewing area all the way from Philadelphia and brought out the donations along the way. And for those of you watching who did donate and support the mission of St. Joe's, we thank you wholeheartedly for supporting our community. That's it for this week's Cloud to Ground. I'm Jeremy Luan. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope that you learned a thing or two. We'll see you next week.